Have you ever noticed that one man in the room who rarely speaks, who stands off to the side like he's not part of the crowd? He's often misunderstood. People whisper that he's distant or even arrogant. But the moment an emergency flares up, he's the first to act while everyone else stumbles. That's the Sigma male. Mysterious, self-contained, and impossible to figure out until chaos arrives. When it does, he's the one everyone secretly relies on. Because beneath that quiet exterior lies a man who's trained himself to stare fear down and handle crises without blinking. Today, we're diving into 10 the real reasons Sigma males seem to have no fear when danger, conflict, or disaster strikes. Number 1. Immediate action over endless debate. A blazing car crash, a sudden confrontation, whatever the crisis, Sigmas don't wait for group consensus. They act. Imagine a building's alarm going off. Some people pause, glance around, and hold lengthy discussions about whether it's a real threat. Not a Sigma. He'll assess the situation in seconds and move toward a solution, either finding the fire extinguisher, guiding people to exits, or calling emergency services. This rapid response comes from a deep trust in his instincts. He's learned that acting quickly, even with partial information, can be life-saving. Others might call it reckless. Sigmas call it necessary. The fear that stalls most people doesn't get a grip on him because he's conditioned himself to see action as the only real antidote to danger. Number 2. Regularly checking mental escape routes. You know that friend who walks into a restaurant and immediately notes the fire exits. That's the Sigma mindset, except it extends to every facet of his life. Whether he's in a crowded mall or stuck in an awkward social gathering, he's mentally charting ways out. This might sound paranoid, but for him, it's second nature. He's not pacing around, sweat on his brow. Rather, it's a quiet mental exercise. If conflict erupts, if a new job sours, if a social situation turns hostile, he's already got 3 alternative paths mapped out. Because he's laid out these plans in advance, fear doesn't paralyze him. He simply picks the best exit or alternative strategy and carries on. The world sees calm confidence. He knows it's the comfort of never feeling trapped. Number 3. Analyzing fear triggers early in life. Some Sigmas start this journey of fearlessness as kids. Maybe it began with a fear of the dark, a bully at school, or the terror of speaking in front of classmates. Instead of avoiding these fears forever, they methodically faced them one step at a time. If they feared water, they forced themselves to swim. If they dreaded being alone, they spent time solo camping or traveling. Over months or years, each conquered fear becomes a trophy, a reminder that challenges can be tamed. By the time adulthood rolls around, they've already deconstructed fear into smaller pieces. They aren't brave by birth. They're brave by practice. That repeated exposure to what scares them gradually dissolves the paralyzing grip fear can have. So when big threats appear now, they think, I've beaten worse before. I can do it again. Number 4. Lone wolf training. Ever try doing something totally alone? Moving to a new city, starting a business, or taking a road trip without a companion. It's exhilarating, but it can also feel terrifying. Sigma males intentionally do tasks solo, and not just for convenience. By shouldering responsibilities alone, fixing a car engine without backup, traveling abroad with minimal support, they teach themselves that they can tackle life head-on. No fallback safety net from a buddy or a team, just their own wit and perseverance. Over time, this becomes second nature. In a crisis, they don't look around, waiting for help. They dive in, confident in their capacity to handle whatever arises. The fear that others feel, what if nobody comes to save me, doesn't affect them, because they never counted on rescue in the first place. Number 5. Realizing courage is a choice, not a gift. Many people assume bravery is something you're born with, like a talent. Sigmas reject that idea. They view courage as a daily decision, something you build like a muscle. Each time they face a small scare and push through, they're reinforcing the habit of bravery. Confront an aggressive coworker instead of cowering, or volunteer to lead a risky project at work. These acts stack up. After enough repetition, fear becomes less a blockade and more of a signpost. This is hard, but I can do it. They might still feel the adrenaline spike, but they choose to respond with action instead of retreat. Over time, that conscious choice becomes so ingrained, it looks like fear never existed in the first place. Number 6. Focus on immediate next step. One reason fear can overpower us is that we see the entire crisis at once, like staring up at a mountain and thinking, "No way can I climb that." Sigmas bypass that mental freeze by zooming in on the very next footstep. If there's a multi-layered emergency, medical, financial, logistical, they pick one layer and handle it. Then the next, and the next. This systematic approach ensures they don't drown in panic about all the possible failures. They trust that by nailing one component at a time, they'll eventually conquer the whole. It's not blind optimism, just practical compartmentalization. Instead of letting the enormity of the problem crush them, they chip away at it calmly, one piece after another. Number 7. Mastering low-profile confidence. In a world where everyone's bragging on social media about their feats, Sigmas do the opposite. They keep their competence under wraps. It's not about insecurity. It's about staying uncluttered by expectations and hype. Think of a martial artist who doesn't wear flashy gear or boast about belts. They'd rather show skill if the need arises. This mindset frees Sigmas from the fear of failing in front of an audience because there is no audience. They're not performing. They're just doing what needs doing. When a crisis hits, they quietly excel, and others might say, "I had no idea he could handle that." The Sigma, meanwhile, shrugs it off. He never wanted applause, only results. Number 8. Tactical de-escalation skills. Sometimes fear doesn't come from physical danger, but social conflict. Someone's shouting, a heated argument's brewing, or a tense negotiation feels moments away from blowing up. Sigmas sidestep fear by cultivating quick de-escalation techniques, lowering their voice, choosing words that diffuse tension, or altering their body language to show calm. Instead of feeding the fire, they snuff it out. This keeps them from being dragged into reactive fear. They approach the conflict almost like a puzzle. What's the hidden reason for this anger? And how do I diffuse it? The result? They walk away from confrontations unscathed, looking fearless, while everyone else reels from the emotional blow-up. Number 9. Deliberate eye contact under stress. Fear often manifests in our eyes. Darting glances, avoiding direct contact, or looking at the ground. Sigmas train themselves to do the opposite. Intense face-offs. Maybe a boss chewing them out or a stranger invading their personal space. They hold their gaze. It's a subtle but powerful move, broadcasting that they're not backing down. For the Sigma, it's about self-control. By locking eyes, they remind themselves they're engaged in the present moment, not retreating into panic. Their calm stare can unnerve aggressors who expect flinching or cowering. Meanwhile, it strengthens the Sigma's internal message. I'm here, I'm capable, and I'm not afraid to stand my ground. Number 10. They detest victim mentality. The final reason Sigma show so little fear under pressure. They refuse to label themselves as victims. Some people find comfort in blaming bosses, families, or circumstances for their troubles, but Sigmas see that as a trap, a sure way to remain powerless. Instead, they own their outcomes, good or bad. If something goes sideways, they ask, "What can I do?" Not, "Why me?" That fierce sense of responsibility leaves no room for fear to grow. When you think of yourself as the agent of change in your own life, intimidation from outside forces loses its bite. It's a harsh, no excuses philosophy, but it arms them with a near indestructible resolve when the chips are down. Sigma males might appear stoic, distant, or even strange to the people around them. But when trouble strikes, they step forward while others stand paralyzed. It's not magic or a superpower. It's a mindset built on daily choices, acting quickly instead of debating endlessly, training themselves to handle tasks solo, staying cool in conflicts, and refusing victimhood at every turn. That's how they become the calm, decisive anchor everyone secretly relies on. Do you agree with the points I mentioned in this video? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. For more deep dives into the Sigma male mindset, be sure to check out our other videos. Thank you for watching and being a part of our community. If you're ready to continue your journey toward achieving greatness, hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos. Click here to see why Sigma males walk away from family.